Welcome to Investors Insight, where today's topic is what's China got to do with it? So a lot going on this week. Trey, we'll start with you. You have an important update on wages, and then talk about what is potentially going to be a market-moving event in China. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. So we have a lot of economic data last week and this week that are going to likely have a big impact on markets. The big data came out on Friday was an unexpectedly strong jobs number. The U.S. economy grew by about 115,000 jobs. And then all importantly, earnings were up 3.6% year over year. So that's some good positive news, much better than expected, and no real major negative revisions. But look, how does that flow into this week? So this week, we're going to get the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, the PPI, which is the Producer Price Index. Those are two of the most important inflation trackers that we can see. So we want to see how much of that 3.6% wage increase that workers got, how much of that do they get to keep versus how much is going out in inflation. And with the continued high price of gas, which we've talked about on this vlog, that's putting more and more of the pocketbook into gas and instead of into other areas of the economy. So we're looking for, is there demand destruction in other parts of the economy? And then at the end of the week, this all kind of ties together with President Trump flying to China to meet with President Xi Jinping. They'll be discussing tariffs, the war with Iran, along with many other cooperation objects of the meeting to see if we can get them to buy more U.S. products and see if then we can turn around and buy more Chinese products. All that will have a positive impact on inflation. The Chinese inflation, they got their reports last week, is running extremely hot with the war with Iran, with China being the largest customer of a lot of Iranian goods, namely the Iranian oil. So can China put pressure on that? Can that then put downward pressure on Chinese inflation and U.S. inflation, upward pressures on U.S. jobs? So we're in the middle of some strong numbers, but the big meeting at the end of the week will have a lot of impact on how that flows through and how we think that's going to go moving forward. So we'll get that update sometime over the weekend, next weekend, but that's what we're watching very closely.
Yeah, all eyes on China at the end of the week for a very important meeting. We'll be obviously focused on that. But so I spoke with a client last week who couldn't believe how strong the market has come back, considering the uncertainty in the Middle East, higher oil prices, and uncertainty around the Fed, considering it looks like they are not going to be cutting rates like the market was hoping. And I did point out that corporate earnings have continued to come in strong. It's something that we talked about coming into this year. It's something coming true, which is better participation by other parts of the market and not just the large cap technology stocks. So as you can see in this chart, from January 1st through April 24th of this year, we have seen the small cap index seen in the green line and the mid cap stock index seen in the light blue line outperform the S&P 500 that you can see the navy blue line. So we said at the beginning of the year that a healthy market is one where the broad market participates in the upside, which is coming true this year. This is great to see. This type of participation can help the market get through the uncertainties that I mentioned earlier. And that, in fact, analysts expect strong earnings results from each of the indices in this chart, with some analysts even calling for earnings to increase to record levels this year. So in summary, the market broadening out is a positive development and will be a key factor in keeping the market positive for this year. So we talked about wages. We talked about the importance of the end of the week, the meeting with China, and great to see the participation of the market broadening out. Again, great sign to keep the market positive here. So if you have questions or anything we've discussed, please call us, email us. We love to hear from you. Have a great week. Thanks.